Hi there, my name is Steve Yard, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. Please excuse my nasally voice. I'm kind of getting off of a cold, hopefully getting off a cold. This has been lasting a little while. But anyway, last week I had tried to get to a anime review for the first episode of the season, but didn't quite get to it. It was running a little long, so I decided to do it this week. And I'm glad I did because I got to watch a little bit more of this anime, and I'm very happy about it. So let's start with the review, and it is off the anime from 2018. I think it started, still ongoing, and it is called Golden Kamuy. So Golden Kamuy is an anime that I've been meaning to get to for actually a little while now. About a year or so ago, I started watching anime set in the Taisho and Meiji eras. The Meiji happened right before the Taisho. And they're pretty interesting to me. So I've been kind of growing onto watching more of these anime. So Golden Kamuy has come up because that's towards the end of the Meiji era, right at the beginning of the Taisho era. And I've been meaning to watch this anime for quite some time. So let's get into some of the particulars real first. Let me go off the notes here. It is, of course, off of a manga that was in Weekly Young Jump, started in August 2014, and ran till about April 2022. The anime started in, April, I believe, April of 2018, and so far, it's gone through June of 2023. I think it's still ongoing, and I believe that a live action has been greenlit. Golden Kamuy. And so what is this anime about? Okay, again, it's set towards the end of the Meiji era. It's right after the Russian-Japanese War, or the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905. It was a kind of a short conflict, as conflicts go at that time. And Japan earned itself a place on the world stage as a result. I'll get more into that a little bit later. So the anime series starts off with our lead character, Sugimoto, who is in the trenches about to attack a Hill 203, in one of the many battles of the Russo-Japanese War. And we get a sense that he is a very good soldier, that he's determined to make it through the war, and he goes into beast mode, and he's very good at what he does. And to quote Wolverine, I'm very good at what I do. It's just what I do is not very nice. And that's kind of Sugimoto. After the battle that we see at the very beginning of the anime, he's with a friend who, of course, gives him the trope story of, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this war. Can you take care of my sister and her kid? My sister's slowly going blind. If you can get her enough money to get her to America and get some eye surgery, because America has the best doctors, could you please do that? And of course, Sugimoto, honors that request, and of course, the friend eventually dies. So then we cut to right after the war, and there he is in his uniform, kind of, and he's panning for gold. And as he's panning for gold, this older beggar-looking drunk guy is there, kind of just talking to him, and tells him this story about all this gold that can be found in Hokkaido, which is where they are currently at. And the story unfolds that there was a Ainu, a person who was indigenous to Hokkaido, which is the northernmost island, by the way, of Japan, and apparently he amassed this gold fortune, and the Japanese imprisoned him and tried to break him and get him to tell them where the gold is, and he refused. And he put a map and instructions on a whole bunch of different convicts, 24 in total, so that if you put them all together, you'll be able to decode it and find the gold. Of course, the Ainu died in prison, and as the convicts were being taken away by the army so they can figure out where the gold is, they managed to escape. And they launched themselves into the wilderness of Hokkaido, knowing that they're not going to make it. So they go into one of the three major towns of Hokkaido in 1905, 1906, which is called Otaku. So they go there, and that's the story that the drunk guy tells Sugimoto. He then realizes what he's done, and decides to kill Sujimoto because, as it turns out, he has the tattoo on him. So he's one of the escaped convicts. Sujimoto figures this out, and he does a brutal thing. You're going to have to watch the anime. And he sets off on the journey of the story, which is to find the convicts, to find the gold, so that he can take a portion of it and give it to his friend's sister so that she can regain her eyesight. Immediately along the way, he comes across a new girl, a native girl who is a huntress, and she kind of helps him immediately with a little bit of trouble that he's having, and they kind of get into his bond. He tells her, this little girl, he tells her what's going on, and he basically just says, look, help me find the gold. I'll give you the majority of it. I just need enough to do the thing that I promised to do. And she decides to help him. And then the story moves on, and we start to see different factions of different people who are aware of this gold. We have the 7th Division who is hunting for it. We have a old samurai from a previous war against the Meiji, and so he has leading up one faction. Of course, Sujimoto is his own little thing going on, and I think there's a 4th one that's coming out there. And so they're all going to go on this adventure to find the gold. So that's the plot in a nutshell. I really like this anime. As I tell people, I usually watch at least 3 or 4 episodes to determine whether or not I can review it, if it's a series, and if it's worth reviewing, or if I want to continue with it. I'm definitely going to continue with this. I believe this is not quite 50 episodes, but I think I'm in for a ride. I'm really, really enjoying this. If you are something of a history buff, particularly in Japanese history, Meiji era, Taisho era, you're going to like this. It's not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. There's some things that you'll be like, oh, that's not quite what the uniform looked like. Yeah. But it's good enough of representing the era that you're going to be interested. So the backdrop of Hokkaido, which is, again, unusual in and of itself, because we don't have a whole lot of anime out there that's where the anime is located. Every now and again we get one or two, but this is, again, kind of rare, and it's the time period of this war, the Russo-Japanese War. And the reason why I'm kind of making a big deal about this is because in American history classes, we do kind of learn about the Russo-Japanese War insofar that we know that it happened, we know that the Japanese won, and the whole reason why we even know anything about it is because it was America that negotiated the peace agreement between the Russians and the Japanese. So for American history, it doesn't seem like much, but for Japan, it's a huge deal, because this war was them basically having a technologically advanced, for the time period, army and navy that successfully took on a world superpower, which was Russia. And Russia was a world superpower at that time. Took them on and won. So that's kind of a big deal. And it was a big deal for the Meiji era because it's a justification of what they were trying to do, which is to modernize Japan. So this war was over about territory kind of north of Hokkaido and parts of Hokkaido that the Russians claimed. The Russian, at this point in time, was the Russian Empire, not the Soviet Union. That would be a few years later down the road. So the Japanese contested these islands, won, and took them back. So again, big deal. And what was kind of nice is that in the very beginning of the anime, when they show the battle, obviously it's not greatly detailed, but you get a flavor of what that war would have looked like in 1904, 1905. And, Russian machine guns. Japanese army looking more sophisticated, uniformed, a real army, weapons with bayonets, things like that. You get the idea. And then it kind of goes into what happens to these soldiers after the war. So I've only gone about 4 episodes in. Again, I'm really liking this. I can't wait to see more. I'm already sensing that they're going to be talking about PTSD. There's some things that they talk about early on where you're just like, oh, wow, they're going to talk about soldiers having a hard time readapting to life after war. So that's the thing that I think they're going to be talking about. One of the other nice things about this anime is that we get the Ainu. For those who don't know, the Ainu are the indigenous population of Hokkaido, Japan. So that big squarish island up towards the north was populated by indigenous people called the Ainu. They look a lot different than the Japanese. I mean, it's markedly different in real life. And so you'll be able to tell them apart. And as a result of this war, the Japanese came more and more in contact with the Ainu people and having to deal with them, having to deal with their culture, and kind of bringing them into the fold. So you have those issues as well. But what was really kind of interesting in the first 3 episodes is this girl that is helping Sugimoto, Asperia, I think is her name, is totally Ainu, character design, the whole 9 yards. And we get the Ainu language, like for real. So when you watch this and she's talking in the Ainu indigenous language, you're going to get, if you're watching a sub, you're going to get the American sub and you're going to get the Japanese sub, because she's speaking in a whole different third language. And that's kind of cool. They also talk about more about Ainu culture and life. And I think we're going to get more of that as we move on, because it's, again, this story is based in this world, in Hokkaido, and dealing with the Ainu people. And so immediately one of the customs we get is kind of like animism, like worship of nature, animals, and things like that, and how humans are interacting with that idea that we're all spiritually connected somehow, some way. So we all got to respect each other. We got to respect the woods and the animals, ourselves, and our places in this life. So that's kind of neat. And so what they talk about are the gods, the many gods of the Ainu, because each animal can be a god if it's treated right. And so they're called Kamuy. So obviously, Golden Kamuy, meaning Sugimoto is the golden god, because he's looking for the gold, right? Or so I think. I think that's what they mean by that. Anyway, one of the things I forgot to mention in the plot is that Sugimoto is also got a nickname called the Immortal Sugimoto, because when he goes into beast mode, he can't be killed. And there's a moment where he takes off his shirt because he's, fell into a river or whatever, and you see all the scars. So you get an idea that this guy's, seen the elephant, right? So historically speaking, it's got a certain level of accuracy that's kind of fun for the history buff. Again, I'm not saying that it's totally spot on accurate. It isn't, but still, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I know what that is. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. They incorporated that. And the fact that they're bringing a new culture, which you don't really see, and on a place that you really don't get, which is Hokkaido. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy about watching this anime finally. And should you watch it? Yes, I think you should. So that's it for this week. I do hope you choose to check out Golden Kamuy. It is on Crunchyroll, easily found there. Actually, I think you can find some episodes on YouTube as well. So please check it out. At the end of the Meiji era, beginning of the Taisho era, right after the Russo-Japanese War on the island of Hokkaido, and dealing with the Ainu. So yes, all very, very interesting things. So please check it out. So before we wrap it up here, remember, OnCon is going to be in April. Yes, more information down below at the link down below. You'll find it down there. And yes, on Sundays at 7 p.m., go over to Anime Archaeology YouTube channel and watch the Anime Brief, where John, Brent, and I talk about anime news, anime subjects, and all things anime. So please join us over there. We have the chat set up. So if you have a YouTube account, you can actually kind of, involve yourself into our discussion. Please do. We would love that. So that's it. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you feel good and feel better, because I will be going to conventions this year. I hope to see you in person. And yeah, thanks for watching, and love you guys, and watch more anime.